A massive Nebraska legacy has just entered the transfer portal, a 6'6 SEC wide receiver. So in today's video, I'm going to go over who this guy is, what he brings to the table, and everything else you need to know, along with a confirmed defensive line visitor that we haven't talked about yet, who looks like he's on the verge of committing to Nebraska. So really quick, massive update, hit that like button. And also, thank you guys again so much for 10,000 subscribers. I'm going to continue to work hard every single day to bring you the best content on Nebraska YouTube, whether that's transfer portal updates just like this, breaking news coverage, and so much more. So once again, if you want to help me out, please hit that subscribe button. But without further ado, let's get into it. Jumping into this video. First things first, I want to talk about a guy who just entered the transfer portal, a Nebraska legacy. This is Noah Thomas, 6'6 wideout out of Texas A&M. Last year had about 600 receiving yards, 8 touchdowns on the year, and overall was one of the best players on the Aggies roster. It was a complete shock that he just entered the transfer portal. Nobody saw it coming. Now, the reason why this is very interesting to me is for a couple reasons. Number one, he is a Nebraska legacy. His dad is Will Thomas, who was a safety back in the 90s for the Huskers. And his uncle, it's a familiar name to many, Broderick Thomas on that defensive line. So he's a guy who's grew up around the Nebraska program. Again, dad, uncle were football players for the Huskers. And Nebraska offered him actually out of high school. They were very involved in that process a couple years ago. I remember him extensively as a high school recruit. I wanted him badly. He ended up committing to Texas A&M, but Nebraska was the runner-up in that process. That was back when Scott Frost was the coach, but I'd imagine there's some interest here still with Nebraska that he might want to come and play for where his dad and uncle played, and I'd imagine Nebraska would be interested here as well. It should be noted that when Dana Holgorsen and Dekel Shorts, when they were at Houston, they gave this guy an offer, so they were actively pursuing him as well. So this is just purely speculation, but he just entered the transfer portal. I wouldn't be too shocked if Nebraska kicks the tires here. I wouldn't mind if we added another wide receiver. And this is a guy who has a lot of starting experience, 1 year of eligibility left. He's 6'6", right? So he can play kind of that hybrid tight end role that Nebraska likes to use. Again, I wouldn't mind another wide receiver just because I think we kind of lack a little bit of depth there. You lost a lot of guys in the transfer portal, a lot of young players. So it will be interesting to see if they pursue Noah Thomas. But this is a guy with a lot of Nebraska connections. Will be one of the most sought after wide receivers in the transfer portal period. I imagine a lot of good schools want him, but would not be too shocked if the Huskers try to go after him. They might just be done with the wide receivers. If I were them, I would go after one more, especially a guy with this level of height. We really lack height. We don't have height anymore in that receiver room. You have Dane Key, who's 6'3". You have Quinn Clark, who's about 6'5", but that's really about it. You need another guy with that height. You have Noah Thomas here, who's literally 6'6", can go up and get jump balls at elite level. Will be interesting to follow, but that's a Nebraska legacy who's going to be one of the most sought after players in the portal. Long time starting wide receiver for Texas A&M. So wanted to talk about this guy. I'll put it on your radar. Again, there's been no official confirmation that Nebraska's pursuing him. Again, he just entered the transfer portal about an hour ago, but I want to put this guy on your radar because of that extensive connections to the program. Also, really quickly, want to talk about a confirmed visitor. This is Joshua Donald coming out of Appalachian State. He was a nose tackle last year for them, had about 30-some tackles, 3 sacks, and over 10 pressures on the year. So just an experienced nose tackle. He's visiting Nebraska on Monday along with Houston and SMU. So we'll watch out for those other schools there. But again, Nebraska, they're being aggressive on this defensive line. They lost a lot of young pieces. They want depth. They want experience. They want guys who've done it at a high level. But Joshua Donald, things are looking good here. From all intents and purposes, from what it's sounding, that he likes Nebraska the most out of those 3 schools that he's taking a visit to. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there, but again, they continue to get defensive linemen on campus. They lost a lot of guys. They want to replace them, so it'll be interesting to follow Joshua Donald. But just a solid nose tackle, good experience. Played in FCS football before he went to App State and was pretty successful there as well. So just a guy who is going to be a depth piece if Nebraska can land him, but could potentially start at that nose tackle spot against a very wide open defensive line, and they want bodies, that's for sure. All right, guys, wanted to give you that update. This is a confirmed visitor, talking about Noah Thomas as well, just somebody who I personally really want. This is probably my favorite player in the transfer portal right now. I just loved him out of high school. Wanted Nebraska to land him. They passed, or they didn't get him at that point in time. Hopefully they can get him now, but it'll be interesting to see if they pursue. I want them to pursue. We'll see what happens. It is going to be an interesting thing to follow. All right, guys, that's the update. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Once again, thank you so much for 10,000. Really helps me out on the channel. I'm so grateful for every single one of you guys. But it's all gas, no breaks. We're going to continue to put in the work every single day to bring you the best content on Nebraska YouTube. All right, guys, let me know your thoughts down below. Hit that like button and subscribe. Go Big Red. Go Rhule. See you in the next one.